Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Profitable Mindset Podcast.
Welcome to the Profitable Mindset, a show dedicated to teaching you the skills you need to build a profitable product-based business that makes you feel free and fully in control. Here is your host, Charlotte Smith.
Hey there, welcome to episode number 31 of the Profitable Mindset Podcast. How to make sure your emails are not going to your customers' spam folders. And I know this is going to be another popular episode because I hear from a lot of you on the regular that you're having problems with your emails going to spam. So I've got some help for you today. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bust some myths about emails, things that people are telling me that just aren't true. And by you knowing this, it'll help you understand it better. I'm also going to talk about why it's important to do email marketing. Even though a lot of people think that social media is the place to build your sustainable business because that's where everybody is, and that maybe they've heard email marketing is dead. So I'm going to bust that myth for you, and I'll explain why it's important to continue doing your email marketing, even though these other platforms may seem to be more popular than anything else. I'm also going to give you lots of tips on how to avoid the spam folder and make sure your emails are getting delivered. Okay, so the first thing though, I do want to read a review. I haven't done that in the last few episodes because I've been talking about some other things in there, my coaching webinars that we've done. But also, if you've not left a review, I would appreciate it so much if you would take 2 minutes, jump over there on iTunes. They make it really easy to leave a review. And I'd love to read yours on the next episode if you do. So I've noticed that we have thousands and thousands of downloads every single month for this podcast, but I'm only up to like 108 reviews. So I would love for you to add to that number. What it does is it helps the podcast get shown to the people who need the help that I offer. So please just take a couple minutes and do it. It would just mean the world to me. And the review I'm going to read today, this 5-star review is from Diamond Dave 2007, and he titles it, Very Helpful. He says, I've really enjoyed and learned a lot from this podcast, and I just recently found it. She has reconfirmed so many things I've learned through trial and error as a small business person. Really wished I'd found it when she first started this series. Then I could have met her during a visit to my home state of Kentucky. Well, thank you, Diamond Dave, for taking the time to leave that review. And I love Kentucky. I got to go there 3 times in the last couple of years to speak at conferences. So I hope I get to go back and do come up and say hi if we get to meet. So just thank you again for taking the time to leave that review. I just appreciate it so much. All right, so back to this episode. I want to help you guys with this common complaint, like I said, trying to help you avoid your emails going to your customers' spam folders because they don't do you any good. They don't do your customers any good if they aren't in front of them. So first of all, I want to let you know that maybe about 1%, maybe 2% at the most of your emails will go to spam. That's a pretty normal thing you can expect. And this is when you're sending out an email blast through your email service provider. So that's a provider like MailChimp or MailerLite or Aweber or Constant Contact or ConvertKit. There are so many of them out there. So just choose one and get going on it. It's just important to have that set up as your home base. And just know that 1 to 2% of your emails that you send out will go to spam. So if you send out to an email list of 1,000 people, that is 10 maybe emails will go to spam. I don't even know if I have that many go to spam. It could even be way less than 1%. But it's kind of a good rule of thumb is you can expect about maybe 1 out of 100 emails will go to the spam folder. And I've been teaching marketing to farmers for 8 years now. And that's kind of the rule of thumb among all the hundreds and hundreds of people I work with as well. So if you are over the 1 to 2% at the most, then that is just feedback that you've got some work to do to clean up your process. So that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's feedback that you've got some learning to do. Maybe you didn't set things up right, or you didn't invest in some marketing training, which is really important. And that's why I'm here. So don't worry about it. If it's over that number, I can offer you help. But don't ignore that feedback. Don't ignore that number. And I want you to know that you can tighten up that number. If you've got a lot of emails going to spam, you can really tighten that up and bring it back down to the 1% by doing the things I talk about in here and also learning to do your email marketing properly. Now, if your number is severely, grossly over the 1%, like if you look at the spam statistic in your email service provider and 40% of your emails are going to the spam folder, then you've done something terribly wrong and you probably have to start over because you've really messed it up in there. Again, it's okay. It's just feedback. You didn't know what you were doing. No worries. Start over. We'll get you off on the right track. Now, every once in a while, I'll hear someone say, all of my emails go to the spam folder. Well, I really doubt that. I don't think that is true, and it doesn't serve you to say that. So just notice that if you're saying all my emails go to spam, you're really blocking your own mindset, and you're probably not going to invest in learning how to do it right if you think they all just go to spam. As a matter of fact, I hear people say, well, I'm not doing email marketing because I heard they all go to spam. Well, you're missing out on building a profitable business because that is how you do it in today's world. All right, so just use that as feedback again. If you've made that big error and a lot of your emails are going to spam folders, you haven't learned how to do email marketing properly. That's okay. It's why I'm here. I'll teach you how. And like I said, if you've got a huge number, let's just plan on you starting over with a new account. All right. Okay, so that's myth number one, that all my emails are going to spam. It's something I hear common from farmers, and it's just not true. All right, the second myth I want to bust is that a lot of people will say, oh, email marketing doesn't work, or email marketing is dead. Well, again, that's just not true. That's a myth that people are saying, and you're missing out on a profitable business if you're not using it, not utilizing it, because you thought that. Email marketing combined with your website is still the foundation of your marketing strategy for your business, your farm business or your small business, whatever that is. It is the marketing foundation that you will use that makes all the other marketing channels work. So Facebook, Instagram, selling on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, or maybe you're advertising on some websites like Eat Wild or Local Harvest or any other website platforms you might try to sell on. Those are all marketing channels. And those marketing channels will not work strategically and will not bring you profit unless you've got the foundation in place, which is your email marketing service provider combined with your website. So just know that the other channels don't work, or they might work a little bit. They might make you a little bit of money, but that's really deceptive because you're not able to build a profitable business using them without your foundation in place. So if you find that you're working way too hard for every dollar you make, like it's pulling teeth just to make a sale, then just know that you want to strengthen your email marketing capabilities so that you can do that with ease. Okay, so I busted those myths. Now I want to share with you why email marketing is so valuable. You guys, buyers are in your email inbox. Buyers are not nearly as likely to be on social media. People don't jump on Instagram and Facebook to buy. They're there to get inspiration. They're there to relate to people and see what's going on. They're looking for sensational things in the news, just like everyone else. And you get penalized on those channels if you try to sell without putting money on an ad. So what will happen is you will reach fewer and fewer people if you're trying to sell on those platforms. So they're not places to sell unless you pay a lot of money. They're places to relate to people. The more you try to sell in those channels, just know that the less you will reach people until eventually you will realize it's not even worth it anymore. So the buyers are in your email. That is, when you send an email every couple of weeks or every single week, then what should be happening is you should be making lots of sales, which might equate to thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of dollars when you learn how to do email marketing right. And if you're not there yet, don't worry. If you're not making money off your email marketing, that's fine. Just make that your goal for the next year to learn how to do it correctly. Or maybe that's your 1 or 2 or 3 year goal. But you want to learn email marketing so that you can send out an email, make thousands of dollars, and then you can use your Facebook posts and your Instagram posts and your ads on Craigslist and things that don't bring returns that are nearly as close to email, but you can funnel those people on those other channels to your email list, to your website and to your email list. That is how you then turn them into repeat customers. And that is how you're able to sell on Facebook and Instagram with ease, is by funneling them to your email list and turning them into very, very loyal customers. Again, you won't reach them consistently enough on social media platforms to turn them into loyal customers. And one last thing I want to mention before I get into the strategies to avoid the spam folder is that I have not met a profitable business owner who has not invested money in learning how to build a marketing strategy for their business, okay? You just don't learn enough about setting up your email marketing strategy or your overall business marketing strategy in free programs that are out there. You can Google things on YouTube here and there, and you will learn just enough to be dangerous, but you need a full-on marketing plan. So what happens is people who've never invested in email marketing strategy training are struggling and will just struggle until they go out of business. And then they'll say, oh, email marketing didn't work. It doesn't work. Social media doesn't work. So I don't want that to happen to you. As a business owner, if you decide to start a business, there are just some expenses that you will have to include in those startup costs or within the first couple of years. Marketing training is definitely one of them. I teach an amazing class, and of course, there are all kinds of marketing classes out on the internet, but mine is farming specific. Consider investing in marketing training to assure that you are on track to build a profitable farm instead of going out of business. Otherwise, it's going to be a super slow struggle, and it's a road paved with lots of roadblocks, lots of rocks and ditches and things if you don't learn how to do email marketing properly. It'll cost you money in the long run. Okay, so that's one little beef I have, is people complaining that their email marketing isn't working or all the emails are going to spam, and they've never invested time and money in learning how to do it properly. So please make sure you're doing that. My class is always available for self-study. You have access to all the info as soon as you sign up for it. It's on my website at 3cowmarketing.com/marketing course. Okay, next, I want to dive into the steps you can take to avoid people's spam folders. And when you take my course, you will learn a lot more steps than I can possibly give you in a podcast episode. I have a couple hours of training on it in there, lots of training videos. But I want to talk about the number one thing to do to improve your email deliverability and make sure it's not going to spam folders. And that is, the number one thing you've got to do is make sure you've got a clean email list that is actively engaged. What this means is, if you listen to me very often, you know I talk about emailing your list a minimum of every 2 weeks year round. If you take time off from emailing people because you get busy or you get pregnant, or you think maybe you shouldn't be emailing them because you're bothering them, or because you don't have anything to sell, so then you should stop emailing them. All of those things are untrue and not a reason to stop emailing people. If you know you're going to get busy, well, then you could pre-schedule all these emails. That's the beauty of an email service provider. You can schedule them even for months if you want to take time off during the summer to focus just on farming or take time off to have a baby and have a little maternity leave. What is that? Farmers would ask. So you can pre-schedule those emails so you can not have to think about marketing during that time. Okay, so that's what's important is if you take time off from emailing people for any reason at all, what happens is when you do start emailing them again, a lot of your emails will go to people's spam folder because you haven't been consistent. And so the internet service providers detect spam. So if you've taken a break and then you start back up, you will get triggered more often as being spam. Now, it's not the end of the world. If that happened, then that's okay. You can warm up to it. Unless it's been like a year or two, you might not be able to save that list. And those are questions that we deal with individually in the course too. So if that's you, and you might be on the fence with whether you have to start fresh or not, but if it's just been a few months break, you can probably start back up and warm your list back up too. Also, if you're taking a break, even if they don't go to the spam folder, when you start emailing again, people don't remember you. They don't remember why they signed up for your list. And so they could mark it as spam, or they just don't open it. And then you are more likely to have emails sent to spam the fewer people open your emails. So just know that one of the most important things is consistent emailing to your email list. Again, my guide that I use is a minimum of every 2 weeks year round, and it would be great to work your way up to once a week year round. That's your ultimate goal. It might take you a few years to get there, but it is a good goal to work toward. The second thing about cleaning up your email list is if you have cold email subscribers, meaning people who haven't opened your emails and interacted with you in a long time, and your email service provider will show you the cold subscribers. Just search that in the search bar and it will show you where they are. Go in there and clean them up. What I do is I usually look for people that haven't interacted with my emails for more than 3 months. And I figure they're not going to warm back up to them. Maybe they've lost interest, which is fine. People kind of have a natural interest in your farm. There's kind of a season that they will be interested and then they might lose interest over time. It happens regularly. So I will just delete those people who haven't opened my emails or engaged with emails for quite some months. So be sure to keep that cold email area cleaned up. If you don't clean them up, they're just going to cause you more and more problems and will prevent you from reaching people who actually would read your emails, okay? So make sure you've got a clean email list of people who are ready and wanting to read your emails too. What happens then, what you do is you trigger spam traps. If you've got more than the average number of emails going to spam, there's what's called a spam trap where an internet service provider can detect that people don't necessarily want your emails because you have very low open rates and you have some people marking them as spam because maybe they forgot who you were and then you email again after a few months, they mark it as spam. So this fraud management tool, it kicks into gear. And there's a subscriber to your email list that looks like a totally legitimate email address, but it doesn't belong to a real person. And they're just testing your emails. It means that a subject line has tipped it off or something has tipped off the fraud management tool that your emails might be more likely to be spam. And that is really hard to recover from. And you probably won't be able to detect what the email is even. You don't know who it is in there that's doing that. Well, it's not a who, it's a robot. But if you've triggered that, then you'll probably have to create a new account anyway. So again, best way to avoid those spam traps is make sure your list is clean, like I said, with people that are opening your emails and wanting to read them, and you're emailing people every 2 weeks year round. Then, if avoiding spam means that people have to open your emails, a really important thing you've got to pay attention to is your subject lines have got to be really good. I read the most boring subject lines from a lot of email marketers. So don't be one of those. When you take my online course, Farm Marketing from the Heart, you will learn there's a tool in there we recommend to give you a score on your subject line of how good it is. Like, is it 70% good or 80% good? So I use it like a school grade. Like, is this an A- subject line or a C- subject line? And it helps me work harder to create a really engaging subject line. So if people can't read your emails or they don't even know you have something to sell if they aren't opening them. So that's the first step, is you got to work on getting engaging subject lines. And we've got a whole training on how to make sure your subject lines are interesting to your ideal customer. It's not subject lines that would interest other farmers, but you want subject lines that will interest the people that you're trying to get to buy your products. Another thing you've got to do, another little tactic, strategy, is you've got to limit the use of punctuation characters. The more punctuation characters you have in your subject line, and even emojis, will trigger spam. And they say more than 4 punctuation characters. So I usually just use one, like I use a period or an exclamation point, and I keep it to that. I don't want to try to push it at all. So I try to use 1, maybe 2 at the most. And just know that use less than 4 punctuation marks and you'll be good to go. The other thing is you want to try to limit the total number of characters in your subject line to less than 140. You want a shorter subject line versus longer. Now, every once in a while, I have a subject line that goes over that. I break that rule, but that's okay. I try to not do it very often. So use that 140 character as a goal or the ideal that you want to get to. What that means is it challenges you to get really clear on what the subject is of your email, what it is you're communicating inside the email in fewer words than you're used to. And this takes practice, but you can totally get there. The other thing is you can't have deceiving subject lines. So they do need to try to reflect what's in the email. Like, you can't say, lose 30 pounds in 1 week, and then they open the email and it says, sign up for our vegetable CSA and eat a bunch of celery. It can't be deceiving like that. They don't like things like that. That will trigger spam. I don't think any of you are doing things like that, but I just want you to give you an idea of what that looks like to have a deceiving subject line that is not about what you're talking about in the email. To get a good idea of that, just open your spam folder right now in your own email service provider. Look at some of those subject lines. You're going to see a lot of punctuation marks. You're going to see a lot of capital letters, and you're going to see what are mostly false promises and deceiving subject lines. So just take a look in there to know what not to do. And one more thing, do not misuse capitalization. Too much capitalization in your subject lines will send your email to your reader's spam box. So 50% or less is kind of the rule of thumb I use there. Use less than 50% capitalized letters in your subject line relative to the length of the subject line. It's kind of a good rule of thumb. And then one more thing is there are certain spam filter trigger words. All right. So you're more likely to trigger a spam folder. Things like if you say 100% free or amazing stuff, or even just using the word free, like free gift or free membership or free offer. Words like that, especially the word free, will trigger spam. So if you've been using that and you've been having trouble with spam, that could be why that's happening. Oh, and another phrase is like order now. Okay. So if you've got an email going out and people need to order their chickens, you don't want to say order now in the subject line and trigger a spam filter. So again, just look in your own spam box and make sure you're not doing the things that you see on some of those subject lines in there. Okay, so these are your tips for today on how to stay out of spam folders and how to get your emails read. You can't sell things if people aren't opening and reading your emails, and that is under your control with the things I've given you here. I have a ton more of these tips inside Farm Marketing from the Heart. So if you're ready to invest in that course, 3calmarketing.com/marketing course, or I've got a free email marketing course with the first steps. That's a 6-day training. It's smaller, but it'll get you started off on the right foot. That is at 3calmarketing.com/free-email. All these links will be in the show notes too. So jump over there and take a look at both of those courses. Sign up if you're ready. If you're not ready to invest money, put it in your budget for the future. I don't know of a successful marketer who's been able to do it without investing in marketing training. All right, you guys, that's what I've got for you today, all about how to make sure you're getting in your customers' inboxes and avoiding those spam filters. Okay. If you have any questions, you can always email me, let me know, or talk to me in the Profitable Mindset Facebook group, and we'll get you some help. So these tips and tactics I talked about in here today will help you do that. All right. Thanks so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. For more great resources, check out theprofitablemindset.com. See you next time.